Alright, welcome back guys. So this is going to be a slightly important video. It's also going to be very simple because we're going to be talking about the high scores, and we're going to be talking about how to save your high score. And this is pretty much something that you will have to do in some way or form in every single game, that is saving data. Now, what we're going to be using is we're going to be saving data in player prefs, which simply stores your data locally. Okay, so for example, if it's your PC, it's going to save it locally in your PC. And if you reformat your PC, all that data is going to be gone. If you're saving in your phone, then it's only going to save your data locally in your phone. And if you delete the app, then it's going to pretty much delete all the data. We've all been there, right? We download a game and make some progress, and then you delete the app, and then you install it again. All your data is gone, and now we have all sorts of cloud services and such where you save the data online. So I guess it just depends, but for the sake of our simple game, we'll be using player prefs because high scores are, well, I mean, they make sense. They're not a big deal. Now, if you have a game where there's lots of collectibles and in-app purchases where you're buying some sort of gems or in-game currency, then you probably don't want to save that locally, because if a person loses or reformats their phone or something goes wrong, then they're going to be pretty pissed because all of their data and progress that they paid for is gone. So that's just something that you want to keep in mind, right? This is not an approach that you would use in a real full-fledged game where you've got some sort of in-game currency and such. This is just to maybe save some high scores, and basically just a very quick way of prototyping. You would still use this in actual games, but it's just like you wouldn't use it for something like in-game currency. All right, so we're gonna look at that. While I'm here, I just want to quickly maybe throw in some sort of background without having to really work hard. So I can go in my prefabs and just drag and drop my environment like so, and you see that already it looks a lot better than just the blank just a blank background. So maybe I can just adjust my camera a little bit, maybe not like that, maybe. Okay, so let's just see, maybe I can rotate it to look down like so. Let's see what that looks like. That does not look good. So this doesn't look so bad. Okay, so I'm gonna just leave it like that, and maybe we can also bring in our little cab. So where is our cabs? So we never made a prefab of that cab, so we probably should. Okay. Just a little reminder. Okay, so let's see, where is the taxi? Is it here? Okay, so let's bring in the taxi, and let's see where the taxi is. Alright, so let's bring it up like so. Alright, so okay, so let's just do that, and let's just, alright, so alright, so I think that looks okay. I think our taxi looks a little bit too small, so let me try to change the size, just for the sake of, and this is just for aesthetics, right? This is just for the menu, and maybe we can even do something like, I don't know how this would look, so let's just see. Not like so, not like so. Okay, so pretty bad at this. That is what I meant. So we could even do something like so, and maybe we can try fooling around with the camera rotation, maybe like so. I really don't like how there's that huge ugly background in the back. We can kind of just maybe duplicate our environment a little bit so that it doesn't like. Okay, so alright, so I'm going to set it at 50, and let's see what that looks like, and maybe one more. Or in fact, I think that looks fine, actually. And I'm going to go back and maybe rotate my camera like so. Actually, I like the way this looks. So yeah, if I hit play now, then everything should be working, and I can hit play, and our game would start. And now I can go back to my main menu like so. Alright, so things are looking pretty good. We need to quickly wire up this high score. Okay, so first of all, before we actually set a high score here, we need to pretty much actually save our high score. So for that, what we have to do is we have to go back to our game scene. So, yeah, okay, so obviously we have to save our changes. I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah, okay, so over here, let's go back into our scripts where our game is finishing. Let's see, where is it? Okay, so game over. Now, when the game is obviously finishing, this is a pretty good time to maybe check if your new score is the high score. Okay. Now, as I said, we're going to be using something called player prefs. Okay, so the way you do that is, first of all, what you want to do is you want to check. Let me just show you what I mean. Not that. Let's ignore that. What I mean is, let me just show you something like so. Okay, I'm going to change this and just hang in there. I'm going to explain what I'm trying to do here. Okay, so what you're doing is when the game finishes, what you do is you call an if statement, and inside the if statement you get an integer. So player prefs.getInteger, and you give it the name high score. Okay, and it's important for you to just make sure that you use this spelling consistently when you're getting your high score and when you're setting your high score. Let me explain what I mean. What the statement does is player prefs.getInt and with this little tag high score, it will go in your local storage and it will try to look for a key value pair. Okay, and it's going to be looking for a tag called high score, and as you can see it says get int, so it's going to store some value called with a tag high score, and in this case it's going to be an integer. Okay, so it's going to check. It's basically like, you know, a lifeline, like call a friend type. It's going to be like, all right, local storage, do you have any integer value stored for this high score tag, right? So that's ideally going to be your previously set high score. And this returns an integer. So it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. And if this is the first time that you're playing the game, then this is automatically going to return 0. Okay, so if you're wondering, wait, but I don't have this, right? The first time that I play my game and the first time that my game gets over, this is automatically going to be 0. So this pretty much looks in your local storage and gets the value for a variable, which is pretty much stored by this tag called high score, and it compares it to your actual current score. So as the game is as you're progressing with the game, we had this variable called score which was keeping track of our score. So it's getting your current high score, okay, by this line, and it's checking is it less than the score that you currently have. And obviously there's something very wrong with this line, so don't worry about this, and I will get to that. Okay, so all right, so it's checking is the high score less than the current score. Okay, so it's saying was the previous high score less than the current score. If that is the case, that means the new score that you got is, well, we need to update our local storage. So instead of getting an int, what you can do is you can set int, okay, and you can say the integer I want to store, I want it to store in the key called high score, and the value of that integer is the current score. Okay, now I'm sorry if I confused you guys a little bit, but I'm going to say it one last time, okay? So when the game ends, what you do is you check your local storage by this line. You tell your local storage, you call it up, and you say, hey, return me an integer which is saved under the tag high score. Okay, you get your high score and you compare it with your current score. And if your current score is greater than your high score, then you realize that now it's time for me to update my high score. And the way you update your high score by using player prefs is like so. So player prefs.setInteger, and you set your score in this little tag. Okay, so whenever you need to set or get your high score, you basically need to give it the tag. So this is kind of like your phone number when you call someone else, okay? So these two simple lines of code here are pretty much going to work, and they're going to set up your high score. Now, you can probably already guess how we're going to retrieve our high score on our main menu, simply by doing get integer. So now that we've got this working, let's go back into our main menu, okay? And over here, we need to start setting this up, okay? So let's see. We have our high score text. So let's go in our main menu script, which is over here. Okay, so over here in our main menu script, this is where we want to save, this is where we want to show the high score, okay? So since we're not like editing at runtime like we were in the game, we can just do it one time at the very start. So for that, we need a reference, okay, to the text. So public text, and as you can see, it's not going to give me text. Probably it's going to give me an error. So the reason for that is because I need to fix my updates. My imports, and the way I can do that is like so. So unityengine.ui will allow me to use a text type over here. So public text and high score text. Okay. And if I save it now, I can simply drag and drop my high score text. So when I go on my main menu, after it's done loading, as you can see, it's expecting a text object. So I can drag and drop not my title text, but my high score text. Okay, so now we have reference to the high score text, and we can simply do something like high score text dot text equals, and we want to we want to show our player prefs, the value that was saved in our player prefs. So if I go back around to my car, the way I can do to my car script, I can do it like so: get int high score. Okay, so I can do this. Now this is obviously going to give me an error simply because this returns a integer, right? So what I can do is I can make this to string, and this will then convert the integer to string. Now also I wanted to say something like high score semicolon just to make it look prettier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use string concatenation. Okay, so high score semicolon space bar, and with just a simple plus sign, I can add two strings together. So this is a string, and I can add another string to it. So this was an integer, and then I was converting it to a string. And let's see what that looks like. So when the first time you run the game, I expect this to be 0. Okay, let's see. Hopefully I'm right. I haven't checked it before. Let's see. All right, so fair enough. And now if I hit play, let's try and get some of our little gems. Okay, and now game over. So our score is 49, and if I go on our main menu, our high score is 49. So over here, it's just pretty much calling the local storage, and it's asking, hey, return to me the integer saved with the tag high score, and this is what it gets. Once again, if I try to play again and see if I can maybe beat my high score, oh, this is going to be difficult with our current situation. So let's see. Let's try one last time before I give up. Okay, all right, so now we've got a score of 56. It's basically coming over here in my car movement script, right? It gets the high score, which was previously 49, right? So it called the local storage. It said, hey, return to me what your high score was. It said, hey, my high score is 49. It said, well, hey, my current score is 56, which is greater than 49, which means I need to update my high score. So we did playerprefs.setInteger, and we passed in our new score with the same tag, and now it's updated our high score. So when I go into my main menu, I expect it to show us the new high score. And sure enough, it seems to be working. So, guys, this is a very, very simple thing, but I mean, I used it extensively in Crazy Cabby to do all sorts of manipulations to keep track of high scores and gems, and it's very simple, as you can see. integers are not the only things that you can save. So just like you had get int, you have something like get float, you have get string. I encourage you to experiment with them, and different ones are useful in different situations. But yeah, this is a very simple way of getting going. Now, just before I go, I want to say that you know, high scores are not the only things for which player prefs are useful for. Player prefs are useful for maybe they're useful for, as I said, pretty much remembering things which you don't necessarily, which is not the end of the world if the user, you know, loses them, for example. So an example of that would be, let's say, you know, if you play Temple Run or if you play some sort of game and they show you a tutorial the very first time you play, and you have some sort of a checkbox which says hide tutorial. Now, that's something which you can store locally. So every time you say hide tutorial, basically all the person is doing is they're setting some sort of integer or string, which says that, you know, the person clicked this setting, and the next time when you load the game, you basically check, you know, get integer, show score, and let's say depending on what integer you get, you already know, not show score, but sorry, show tutorial. So depending on the integer that you get back from your local storage, you know if the user wants to show the tutorial this time or not. The same thing goes for audio. So, you know, you've got a mute button, which I don't know if I'll look at. We probably will look at it in this series as well, to add some music to our game. So yeah, so for adding music as well, you know, you want the you can remember the choice whether the user wants to have a muted sound or if it wants to have if they want to have the sound on. You can also store those things in player prefs. Alright, so this is very important, so try it out and have fun. Once again, as always, if this was helpful, if you guys learned something, feel free to drop a like, a subscribe, share, and feel free to drop a comment if you've got any questions, and I'll try my best to get back to you guys. So with that said, thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.